Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Checkride Chat. My name is Wally,
I'm Jason.
and we're going to continue our dive into the ACS. We are still in the oral portion of the ACS. Again, we're referencing the Private Pilot ACS. We're on Area of Operation 1, and we're down to Task F, Foxtrot, which is Performance and Limitations. So, how do you handle performance and limitations, Jason, on your private pilot orals?
I would say I'm pretty simplistic. Everybody's going to have a weight and balance ready. So I'll ask to see that. They'll have their basic performance calculations, takeoff distance, landing distance, takeoff over 50 foot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's to me, that's this entire section.
Yeah.
So at that point, I'll ask them, let me see your weight and balance, and then I'll start asking a handful of questions about the weight and balance, which again, it's one knowledge, one risk, all skill, unless otherwise it says it in the objective, or sometimes down in the skill how many we have to do.
Right.
But it's a handful of questions about the weight and balance,
Yeah.
and then scenario. I'll use their performance calculations for scenario-based kind of. Would you? Could you? What does this mean? That'll get directly linked to personal minimums, and that directly answers the question. Risk number 3: possible differences between calculated and actual performance.
Right. Right. So I do something very similar. I'll ask the applicant. I will have them tell me about the flight. Okay, we're going from here to there. It's 300 miles. It's going to take us 3 hours. We're going to burn 27.9 gallons of fuel. I'll say, what's our takeoff weight going to be? And they'll give me a number, and then I'll ask what the max takeoff weight is, and then I'll put them in a scenario where they're overweight. I'll say, okay, I want to bring, I'll come up with a number that will put them a little bit overweight. Maybe 36 pounds. I usually throw softballs. I give you a number that's divisible by 6.
Mine's 24.
Okay. All right. But, I'll say, hey, I want to bring my dog. I want to take Woofus with us, and he weighs 78 pounds. Can he go with us? And I'm not trying to trick you into, can we put a dog in the airplane? We're just talking about a weight scenario. But we are going to be overweight, and I look for scenario for problem-solving skills. How can we let Woofus go with us? Or if we're 200 pounds, my buddy Fred wants to go with us. Can he go?
And that's part of it. It's just, can they?
Yes.
And so I'll give an overweight. Blatantly, you're overweight, however much.
Yeah.
Then I'll give scenarios. Am I right? Or very simply, let me start with this. Sometimes they'll present just the calculations, and I said, "Well, that's great. Are we legal to go?" Yeah, we're underweight. That's not what I'm. Prove
Right.
to me we're legal to go, and you need to plot that into the CG envelope.
Right.
Which then that'll bring up the follow-on question. Okay, where are we approximately?
Yeah.
So we're good, we're bad.
Yeah.
I'll give scenarios. I'll put a little red dot towards the left-hand side. I'll say what type. I won't tell you. I'll ask what type of CG is this.
Yeah.
I want to know if this is forward or aft. And
Right.
some of the times applicants reverse it. They'll say forward is aft and aft is forward.
Right.
And that's for however they think that's totally wrong.
Right.
Along with that, give me some forward, aerodynamic characteristics, forward
Right.
CG characteristics. Give me what's the worst characteristic of an aft CG.
Yeah.
And then commercial, I'll give a little more kind of the moving of the CGs.
Right.
But I would say one negative trait, this is me being me, but one negative trait of the bigger flight schools, every single time they roll into the flight school, they go back to the ramp. What does every single flight school do to their single engine airplanes?
Probably top them off.
Every damn time.
Yeah.
They top them off, top them off, top them off.
Yeah.
So these airplanes can fly for 5 hours.
Yeah.
You just flew for an hour and a half.
Right.
That is 3.5 hours of gas in that plane.
Yes.
Why are we? I get it. If you're going long distance, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But especially take when I do the check rides up in the Denver area. Why are you moving that weight when you don't have to?
Right.
You have this check ride's going to take an hour and a half, 2 hours. There's 3.5 hours of gas on board.
Right.
That is ample. We're not even really leaving the area of the airport. If we need gas, we can always land and get gas.
Yeah.
Hell, my private pilot check ride, I'm not the smallest individual.
Right.
And the DPE, Larry Thomas, great guy. He was larger than me, great personality. We at 152, we took off with half tanks for my private check ride. Yeah. We had to fuel halfway through my private pilot check ride.
I've had to do that
because of weight.
There's a family here at Conroe that owns a 150, and I've done the check ride for 3 members of that family, and we always have to stop and get fuel.
I don't know if I could even fit in a 152 anymore.
Oh, well, no,
I think I can,
but
that's going to be tight.
You got to allocate 20 extra minutes, 10 minutes to get in and 10 minutes to get out.
Suck in to fit in there.
I give them a scenario where we're overweight. Okay, how are we going to handle this? And I think most people in general think an AFCG is bad. That's kind of what we throw out there, and that's not really the case. An AFCG isn't all bad. There are some bad characteristics, and maybe bad is the wrong word, but negative characteristics. But there are also some positive positive characteristics of an AFCG, and you're going to get better cruise performance, i.e. better gas mileage. So instead of maybe taking 29 gallons for this flight, it's going to take 27. You mentioned 3.5 hours of fuel. I mean, my Saratoga, when we come in from a flight, I fuel it to where it has 70 gallons of fuel, which is about 3.5 hours. It holds 102. I don't need to top it off. But 70 gallons to me is kind of the sweet spot. We usually don't fly it that far.
Well, it's probably beyond your bladder control anyway,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
So these schools, they'll go in, and it's in what's running the schools. I hate to say it, it's insurance, right?
Yeah.
So what's running the schools is a lot of it is insurance. There's wind limits. Don't get me wrong, wind is bad in certain scenarios, but a 15 knot wind. The only reason you're going to learn or get to learn is if you go up with a qualified instructor and go challenge yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
But they top off every time, and so they just built in to every single pilot, top off.
Yeah.
Hence, fast forward to private's one thing, but fast forward to the commercial. That's one of my scenarios. You ran this weight and balance. You know who's going. You know where you need to go.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, and how are you going to accomplish this? And some of the answers are, I'm overweight, I'm not going.
Yeah.
And for a commercial applicant, I'm telling you right now, it's not a fail thing, but I'm like, as a boss, I'm your boss. I want to go from A to B, and you're telling me we can't.
Right.
I'm going to go talk to my buddy that has the same airplane. Well, Jason said we can't go. Now my buddy's going to be like, you need to get yourself another pilot.
Yeah.
Meaning, fool me once, bad. Fool me twice, kid, you're fired.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying do anything illegal. I'm not saying do anything bad. But it's mission completion. You have got to think how you do that. And if you need to take a whole bunch of people or cargo or dogs, crawfish, gold, whatever, you might have to do this. You might have to land every 45 minutes and get gas. It's just that's how you accomplish that mission. It doesn't always have to be nonstop.
Well, I'll ask you this question, and we're going to go back to at the airline level. How do we do things? And we've been faulted comparing what we're doing to an airline level. But when was the last time you flew a transport category airplane with the tanks topped off?
Munich, Houston.
Okay.
Because it was a 12-hour leg.
Okay, all right. So you have done that. I don't think I've ever flown the 777 with topped off fuel. I don't think so.
But are they going to top off a 767 to go Houston and Newark?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Why? You don't need it.
No.
One very facetious DPE, not us. The old, when do you have too much gas?
When you're on fire.
Bingo.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So you don't need it all the time. Or sorry, when's the only time you have too much gas.
Right. When you're on fire.
When you're on fire. Other than that, I'm not saying fly at minimums either.
Right.
But I am saying think before you do it. So there's a handful of loading questions on that. I'll always ask, you mentioned transport category. Most of these CG envelopes, the printed versions, most of them they'll have a normal and they'll have a utility category.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, it's right in front of you.
Yeah.
I'll say, what's the difference?
Yeah.
And they'll go, well, one's normal, one's utility. And I go, touche. That's not incorrect, but that's not what I'm looking for. It's G-loading.
Right.
It's what maneuvers you can do and where.
Right. And for the aspiring CFIs, you're going to have to do some spin training. And
why do you think you have to be in a certain category?
Right.
Maybe there's some forward CG characteristics that are positive for spin recovery. Right. That's you'll hear me say it a lot, but there's your correlation. That's why we're doing things.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else?
Very simple terms. I will ask I ask about density altitude.
There you go. Atmospheric conditions.
And I'll say, okay, what's our density altitude today? And this is a severe simplification of it. I know driving in, I stepped outside and it's chilly. It feels cold today. So the density altitude is probably going to be less than field elevation. Now, 95% of the time here in Houston, Texas, it goes the other way, and it's warmer than a standard day, 59 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 Celsius. So it's going to be higher. So a lot of times the folks here in Houston are just used to that, and I really don't care how you get the information, but if you happen to use ForeFlight, when you pull up the weather, it tells you right there what the density altitude is. And
we're not going to ask you to compute it, but knowing what it is, knowing how it affects the airplane, that would be a positive thing to do.
Right, and I'll ask, what is density altitude? And if you want to tell me it's pressure altitude corrected for non-standard temperature, I'm very happy. If you want to tell me it's the altitude that the airplane thinks it's at, I'm pretty happy with that too. It's kind of a performance-based number.
Possible difference. So I close with this one. Possible differences between calculated and actual performance. So they've done their landing distance, takeoff distance, etc. And so they calculate, I need 1,652 feet to land. I said, okay, cool. Here's a 2,000 foot strip. Would you land? And no. Why? I just don't feel comfortable. Okay, what is that? And so now personal minimums come into play.
Right.
This will lateral over to the engine and the engine here in just a second, but that'll be on the next little video. But calculators is for perfect conditions. Perfect perfect plane, perfect outside, perfect calculations. That's calculated. Actual is, hell, that's human error.
Right.
So even at the airlines, we pad landing distances.
Yeah.
I teach if the landing distance is 3160, that's 3,200. I'm just rounding.
Right.
So, but why are we rounding? That is because maybe it's not your best day.
Yeah.
Maybe the compressions aren't what they used to be. And again, that's going into the next section. But
right.
That's where all of this is tag teamed and linked.
Yeah, and there is correlation. I will, in the previous, I think we talked about, and we're going to talk about this when we talk about systems, but talking about a no flap landing. Okay, we're landing with no flaps. We're going to use more runway. How much more runway are we going to use? Now, if you take a Cessna 172, If you take the newer airplanes, the S models, it tells you in there under your landing distance that you're going to use 35% more landing distance. And that number does not need to be memorized. I just say add 50%.
50. There's your
50%.
round. There you go.
Because landing distance is pretty short. It's usually about 800 feet. So add another 400 feet, 1,200 feet. Again, you're going to land on a 2,000-foot long runway. Maybe you are, maybe you're not.
Again, and on that, just lateral this. Sometimes challenge yourself. Don't go find a 2,000-foot runway. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is on a longer runway, maybe try to touch down at this intersection, right? Yeah. Or touch down on the numbers or at the 1,000-footers and try to be off by this intersection.
Absolutely.
Test yourself.
Yeah.
Test your theories. Test it that way.
Yeah.
Do not go test it, the last intersection of the runway, and if you botch it, you're in the grass.
Right.
Don't do that. Like, back it up and maybe touch down at this intersection and be off at the next intersection. Things like that.
Yeah.
But challenge yourself, because that's what's going to keep you on your toes, because one day you might need to.
Yeah. And it would be nice to say I've done it.
Correct.
I've done that before. Now, and now if you look at the older 172s.
That's all max weight.
Yeah, but there's no correction for a no-flap landing. So you're in a 170, even an N model, a November model, 172. Can we do a no-flap landing? The answer is yes. I've done it thousands of times, but there's no data to back it up.
Well, that's why POH has increased over time.
Exactly.
It's called lawyers.
Exactly.
So
you notice an older 172 has one sump on each wing.
It's nothing. Yeah.
Now there's like 6 on each wing. So
I know lawyers. I like lawyers. Lawyers are cool. But you made me read more when I don't have to.
Right. So let's see. What else do we have?
I think that's it.
Yeah, so that's, I think we're ready to come in for a landing on performance and limitations. So I think it's important to have an idea of the performance capabilities of your airplane. I think, it's a good idea to say, what's takeoff distance going to be today? It's going to be about 1,000 feet, and then you look it up. Okay, it's 950. Okay, you're in the ballpark. Just kind of know about what your airplane does. How much runway do I need to land? I think we all have personal minimums. I mean, I look at the 172's Warriors. You need much less than 1,000 feet. But again, like you said, am I going to go land on a 1,000-foot strip?
No,
probably not, unless I'm in a world of hurt. So. Anyway, hit subscribe down there. Tell your friends about us. We appreciate it. Keep the comments coming. Again, you can email us both at wally@checkridechat.com or jason@checkridechat.com. A lot of you have commented on other platforms, and if you really want a response from us, just email us, and you will get a response from us. But that's it for today. Next time we're going to jump into what's next? Systems. Yeah,
systems.
We're going to talk about systems. So, that's it.
Yep.
We'll see you next time.
Cheerio.
Bye.